Why? Because you did something most people never find the courage to do. You changed the narrative. You stopped playing the role they cast you in. You stopped being the quiet one, the compliant one, the victim. You stopped letting your silence be a permission slip for abuse. You rewrote your story, and in doing so, you shattered theirs. See, when people manipulate you, when they lie to you, when they try to control you, they don't just want power, they want predictability. They want to know you'll keep playing your part in their sick little drama. You're supposed to keep apologizing when they hurt you. You're supposed to question yourself while they gaslight you. You're supposed to shrink when they roar because that keeps them comfortable. It keeps them superior. It keeps them in control. But then you flip the script. You stood up, not with rage, but with clarity. You started speaking truth instead of swallowing it. You chose boundaries instead of approval. You decided that peace without dignity was no peace at all. And the moment you did that, everything changed. Because people who feed off control don't know what to do when they can't manipulate the story anymore. You didn't just walk away, you left the entire performance behind. You refused to be the scapegoat, the punching bag, the doormat, and now they're stuck in the role of the villain, and it terrifies them. They're scrambling, rewriting history, playing victim, telling everyone how you changed, how you turned cold, how you betrayed them. But it's not betrayal. It's self-respect. It's not coldness. It's clarity. And it's not that you changed. It's that you finally returned to yourself, the version of you that always existed beneath the fear, beneath the guilt, beneath the layers of people-pleasing and self-abandonment. And that is what's driving them mad, because now they see they never really had control. It was an illusion, a house of cards built on your silence. And you blew it all down with one decision, to value yourself more than their approval. Understand this. They never expected you to heal. They expected you to break. They expected you to beg. But healing is a revolution. It disrupts the entire dynamic. When you heal, when you grow, when you break generational cycles and stand up to dysfunction, you expose it. Your strength becomes a mirror. And people who live in denial can't bear to look at themselves. So now they call you arrogant, cold, disloyal. They throw labels at you hoping one will stick. They want the old version of you back, the broken one, the one they could manipulate, but that version of you is gone, dead and buried, and they don't mourn it, they resent it. It's tragic in a way, because these people often don't want you to change simply because they don't want to confront themselves. If you rise, they have to ask why they're still crawling. If you heal, they have to face the wounds they've been ignoring, but they won't do that. It's too painful. So they rage, they slander, they sabotage. Let them, because their madness isn't your responsibility. Their discomfort with your growth isn't your burden to carry. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that makes them feel less insecure. And you certainly don't owe anyone the right to control your narrative. It takes courage to flip the script. It takes suffering. It takes long nights of solitude, of doubt, of grief. But on the other side of that is something irreplaceable, freedom. Not just freedom from them, but from the parts of yourself that were addicted to their approval. You realize that your worth was never up for negotiation. That being misunderstood is a small price to pay for being authentic. That losing people who couldn't love the real you is not a tragedy, it's a gift. And now people who once saw you as weak can't understand how you became so strong. People who dismissed you are now watching, confused, as you walk without their permission. They don't understand your peace. It's foreign to them, because real peace doesn't look like silence. It looks like power under control. It looks like someone who knows who they are and no longer asks others to confirm it. This is not revenge. This is not about making them suffer. This is about no longer suffering under the illusion that you must be small to be loved, that you must tolerate disrespect in order to keep the peace. No, that's not peace. That's bondage. True peace requires truth. And truth demands confrontation, so let them go mad. Let them twist your story. Let them try to reclaim a version of you that no longer exists, because you didn't flip the script to win their approval. You flipped it to find your life, to find your voice, and to protect your soul. And now you're living in a new chapter, a chapter where you write the lines, where your silence is no longer submission but strategy, where your distance is not bitterness but wisdom, and where your power doesn't scream, it simply exists. They're going mad because they don't know how to handle the fact that the person they thought they controlled now controls their own destiny. They hate that they underestimated you. They resent that your absence exposes their darkness and that your peace reveals their chaos, but none of that is your concern anymore. You flipped the script, and now the only thing left to do is keep writing. Flipping the script means reclaiming your power. You stop playing the role they wrote for you and start writing your own story with courage and clarity. Their madness is a reaction to losing control. When you set boundaries and heal, it exposes their manipulation and forces them to confront their own denial. Your growth threatens their illusion. They lash out because your transformation reveals their weaknesses and their reliance on your silence. True peace is found in authenticity, not approval. Choosing yourself over their approval brings freedom and strength, no matter how much it unsettles them. Want me to help you expand any of these into motivational content? You flipping the script, that moment when you stop accepting the story others have forced upon you and start writing your own, this is where real power begins. Most people live their lives trapped inside narratives created by others. Parents, friends, bosses, even society itself. They tell you who you are supposed to be, how you should act, what your limits are, and you absorb it, you conform, you comply, you stay small, because it's easier than rocking the boat. It's easier than facing the backlash, the loneliness, or the uncertainty of stepping into the unknown. But when you flip the script, you make a decision that defies this conformity. You refuse to be a supporting character in someone else's drama. Instead, you claim the lead role in your own life. This is not about arrogance or rebellion for the sake of it. It's about reclaiming your dignity and your agency. It's about understanding that your life is your responsibility and no one else has the right to write your story without your consent. This act of flipping the script demands tremendous courage. It means questioning the deeply ingrained beliefs and patterns that have shaped you. It means looking honestly at the ways you've been silenced, manipulated, or diminished. You might realize that for years you played the role expected of you, not because it was right, but because you feared what would happen if you didn't. Maybe you stayed in toxic relationships, endured disrespectful treatment, or buried your dreams, all because the narrative told you that survival meant obedience. But flipping the script means breaking free from that fear. It means standing in your own truth, even when it shakes the foundations of your world. It means saying no more pretending to be okay when you're not, no more shrinking yourself to fit their expectations, no more sacrificing your happiness to keep the peace. This is the moment when you reclaim the pen and start writing the story you were meant to live. What makes this transformation so powerful is that it's not just about changing your behavior, it's about changing your identity. When you flip the script, you don't just act differently, you see yourself differently. You begin to understand that your worth is not tied to their approval, your value is not measured by their standards, and your success is not dependent on their validation. This shift in perspective rewires your entire approach to life. At first, this new narrative might feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. You might question yourself, doubting if you're strong enough or worthy enough to sustain this change. That's normal. Growth is never easy. It's like learning to walk again after years of crawling. You stumble, you fall, but with every step, you gain strength and confidence. The important thing is to keep moving forward, keep choosing yourself, and keep telling your new story with conviction. Another reason flipping the script is so revolutionary is that it disarms those who thrived on your compliance. When you suddenly refuse to play by their rules, they lose their grip on you. The power dynamic shifts. You become unpredictable, and that unsettles them. People who counted on your silence to cover their own shortcomings now find themselves exposed. They scramble to regain control, but you've already moved beyond their reach. This newfound power also opens doors within yourself that you may never have imagined. You tap into your creativity, your resilience, your passions. You start setting boundaries that protect your energy and your peace. You surround yourself with people who respect and support your journey. You make choices aligned with your values instead of your fears. In essence, you become the architect of your life, not just a passenger. Flipping the script is an act of rebellion against mediocrity and stagnation. It's a refusal to accept a life half-lived. It's an affirmation that you deserve more respect, more joy, more meaning. And it's a promise to yourself that no matter what challenges come, you will keep fighting for the narrative that honors your true self. So when you flip the script, you're not just changing a story, you're igniting a movement within yourself, a movement toward freedom, authenticity, and power. And that movement is unstoppable. Their madness is a reaction to losing control, and understanding this is key to grasping the profound shift that happens when you stop being a pawn in their game. People who have built their power, their identity, or their sense of superiority on controlling others cannot tolerate losing that grip. Control is their currency, their security blanket. When you step out of the role they assigned you, when you refuse to be manipulated or silenced, you threaten everything they have relied upon to maintain their sense of order and dominance. Control is often subtle, wrapped in the guise of care, advice, or expectation. It's not always outright domination. More often, it's an intricate web of emotional manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and covert hostility. Those who wield it have grown accustomed to the compliance of others, to the predictability of reactions, to the silence that follows their outbursts. They expect that their version of reality will be accepted without question because it's convenient, because it keeps them safe. But when you refuse to conform, when you set firm boundaries, when you speak your truth, you pull the rug out from under their feet. Suddenly, the narrative that held them in power starts to unravel. They no longer have the script they memorized. Their carefully crafted world is shaken because the dynamic that guaranteed their control is broken. This loss of control is terrifying for them, and it triggers a range of responses that often look like madness. They may become angry, irrational, or desperate. They lash out, try to smear your reputation, or manipulate others to isolate you. Some might spiral into guilt or confusion, unable to reconcile the loss of their authority with their self-image. Others may resort to subtle sabotage or passive-aggressive behaviors, but all these reactions stem from the same root, the fear of losing control over you. The irony is that their madness reveals their vulnerability. For all their posturing and manipulation, they are deeply insecure people who relied on your submission to mask their own fears and weaknesses. Your refusal to be controlled strips away their illusion of power and forces them to confront their own inadequacies. But because they are not prepared to face this truth, they resort to chaos and confusion. It's important to realize that their response is not your fault. You did not cause their breakdown by standing up for yourself. You only exposed the fragile foundation upon which they built their control. This is a crucial distinction because many people fall into the trap of feeling responsible for others' anger or instability. They try to fix, appease, or explain, thinking if only they behaved differently, peace would return. But peace cannot exist on the basis of control and manipulation. Your boundaries are not punishments. They are declarations of self-respect. Your truth is not an attack. It is a beacon of authenticity. When you hold your ground, you're not just protecting yourself, you're forcing a reckoning that the other person may resist, but ultimately needs. This reckoning challenges them to either change their ways or face the consequences of losing meaningful relationships and respect. And here's where the madness often intensifies. The more you hold your power, the more uncomfortable they become. They might try to pull you back into the old dynamic by guilt, blame, or emotional blackmail. They may paint themselves as victims to gain sympathy or try to gaslight you into doubting your own perceptions. This is a last-ditch effort to regain control, but it's a sign that the old script no longer works for them and that you are winning. But you must stay vigilant and firm. Recognize that their tactics are attempts to destabilize you and reclaim their dominance. Don't fall for the trap of emotional manipulation or second-guessing your right to set limits. Their chaos is a storm that passes, not a permanent reality you must endure. The freedom you gain from refusing to be controlled is worth every moment of discomfort you might face. It's the beginning of a new chapter where your life is no longer dictated by others' insecurities or agendas. Instead, you move forward with clarity and purpose, grounded in your values and self-worth. Moreover, your refusal to be controlled sends a powerful message not just to the person trying to dominate you, but to everyone around you. It shows that manipulation and abuse will not be tolerated, and it sets a standard of respect and integrity. This ripples outward, inspiring others to question the scripts they are following and to claim their own power. In the end, their madness is a testament to the impact of your courage. It's a sign that you have shifted the balance of power, not by force or aggression, but by standing firm in your truth. This shift challenges toxic dynamics and creates space for healthier relationships based on mutual respect rather than control. So when they go mad, remember what it means. It means you are no longer a tool for their control. It means you have shaken the very foundation of their power. And it means you are on the path to freedom, freedom from manipulation, freedom to be authentic, and freedom to live life on your own terms. And their madness is not a threat. It's the echo of a system collapsing because you refuse to play the role assigned to you. And that refusal is the most powerful act of self-love and liberation you can offer yourself. Your growth threatens their illusion, and that is why their reactions are often so intense, so desperate, and sometimes so cruel. When you begin to evolve, when you start to understand your worth, establish boundaries, and refuse to tolerate disrespect, you become a mirror reflecting back uncomfortable truths, and people who have relied on your silence, compliance, or weakness to uphold their own self-image cannot bear to face that reflection. Their illusion is built on control, denial, and manipulation. They craft stories about you and themselves to maintain a sense of superiority, safety, and order in their lives. In these stories, you are the one who is wrong, weak, or flawed, the one who needs fixing, bending, or controlling. This illusion serves them well because it justifies their actions and shields them from guilt or self-awareness. But when you grow, when you reject those narratives and start living authentically, the illusion cracks. Suddenly, their carefully constructed world is disrupted. The lies they told themselves to avoid responsibility and the ways they manipulated you to maintain control begin to unravel. Your growth is a threat because it exposes the emptiness beneath their facade. This exposure often provokes fear and anger. They see you not as the person you truly are, but as a challenge to their identity and power. Their reaction may range from denial to hostility, from attempts to gaslight you back into submission to efforts to sabotage your progress. They might spread rumors, isolate you socially, or attempt to undermine your confidence. These actions are defensive. They are attempts to protect their fragile illusions at all costs. At the same time, your growth highlights their own stagnation. They are forced to confront their failures, insecurities, and choices. Your transformation shines a spotlight on the parts of themselves they have ignored or suppressed. This can provoke jealousy, resentment, or bitterness because change requires effort and courage they may not possess or be willing to embrace. You might notice that people who once controlled or belittled you suddenly act confused or even hostile. They question your motives, accuse you of betrayal, or try to paint your evolution as selfish or harmful. This is because your growth threatens to dismantle the status quo they depended on, a status quo where they could avoid accountability and maintain their power over you. But your growth is not selfish, it is necessary. It is the natural outcome of recognizing your value and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It is a declaration that you will no longer allow others' illusions to dictate your life or limit your potential. And while this may provoke discomfort in those around you, it ultimately creates space for healthier, more authentic relationships based on respect and mutual growth. Moreover, your growth inspires others, even if they don't show it. People who witness your transformation may feel motivated to examine their own lives, to question their own illusions and patterns. Change is contagious, and your courage to evolve sends ripples beyond your immediate circle. The challenge, however, is to stay grounded amid the chaos your growth may unleash. When others react negatively, it's easy to doubt yourself, to wonder if you've made a mistake. But remember, the discomfort and resistance you face are signs of progress, not failure. They indicate that you are breaking free from old cycles and that your true self is emerging stronger. You must learn to hold your boundaries firmly and protect your mental and emotional well-being. This may mean limiting contact with toxic individuals or seeking support from those who encourage your growth. It means reminding yourself that your worth is inherent and not dependent on others' approval or acceptance. Ultimately, your growth threatens their illusion because it represents a fundamental truth. You are not theirs to control. You are a sovereign individual with the right to define your own life and happiness. And this truth is both liberating for you and destabilizing for those who relied on your submission. So embrace your growth fully, even when it shakes the people around you. Know that every step you take toward authenticity and self-respect weakens the power of illusion and opens the door to a more fulfilling, empowered existence. Their resistance is a testament to the impact you are making. It means you are no longer invisible, no longer small, and no longer trapped. In the end, their discomfort is not your burden. Your growth is a gift to yourself, to those who truly matter, and even to those who struggle to accept it, because by living your truth, you illuminate the path for others and redefine what is possible. True peace is found in authenticity, not approval, and understanding this distinction is one of the most liberating realizations you can experience. For so long, many people live their lives chasing approval, seeking validation from family, friends, colleagues, or society at large. We crave acceptance because it feels safe. It reassures us that we belong, that we are liked, that we fit in. But the cost of this approval seeking is often the sacrifice of our true selves. We mask our feelings, hide our desires, and suppress our convictions just to avoid conflict or rejection. Yet this pursuit of approval is a fragile foundation on which to build a fulfilling life. Approval is external and conditional. It depends on others' perceptions, moods, and biases, all of which are beyond your control. When your sense of peace hinges on the unpredictable approval of others, you are vulnerable to disappointment, anxiety, and self-doubt. You live in a state of constant vigilance, always adjusting to meet expectations that may shift or prove impossible to satisfy. Authenticity, on the other hand, is rooted in a deep connection with your own values, beliefs, and identity. It means living in alignment with who you truly are, even when that means disappointing others or standing alone. Authenticity requires courage because it often involves facing criticism, misunderstanding, or rejection, but it also brings a profound sense of peace because it is not contingent on anyone else's opinion. When you choose authenticity over approval, you reclaim your power. You stop trying to fit into someone else's mold and start honoring your unique path. This choice creates an inner stability that no external circumstance can shake. Even in the face of adversity or opposition, you can stand firm because your peace comes from within, from a clear conscience and a genuine life. It's important to recognize that authenticity does not mean being reckless or dismissive of others. It means communicating honestly and respectfully, setting boundaries, and making decisions that reflect your true self. It means embracing your imperfections and being willing to grow without pretending to be perfect for the sake of acceptance. This journey toward authenticity often requires letting go of toxic relationships or social circles that demand conformity or impose limiting expectations. It may mean confronting long-held fears of abandonment or loneliness, but the reward is immense. A life where you are free to express your true feelings, pursue your passions, and build connections based on mutual respect rather than obligation or facade. Moreover, authenticity fosters deeper and more meaningful relationships. When you present your true self, you attract people who appreciate you for who you are, not who they want you to be. This creates a foundation of trust and intimacy that cannot be achieved through superficial approval. It also sets a powerful example, encouraging others to live authentically as well. Choosing authenticity also means embracing vulnerability. It requires the willingness to be seen, flaws and all, and to accept yourself without harsh judgment. This vulnerability is not weakness. It is a source of strength because it allows genuine connection and personal growth. When you are authentic, you no longer expend energy hiding or pretending, and this freedom is profoundly healing. In practical terms, living authentically might look like speaking up when something bothers you, pursuing a career that aligns with your passions rather than societal expectations, or simply allowing yourself to experience and express your emotions honestly. It means making choices that honor your well-being, even if they are unpopular or misunderstood. The peace that comes from authenticity also translates into resilience. When you know who you are and what you stand for, external challenges and criticisms lose their power to destabilize you. You develop a grounded confidence that helps you navigate life's uncertainties with grace and clarity. Of course, this path is not always easy. There will be moments when the desire for approval tempts you to revert to old patterns of people-pleasing. There will be times when the loneliness of standing apart feels overwhelming. But each time you choose authenticity over approval, you reinforce your inner strength and deepen your peace. Remember, peace is not the absence of conflict or struggle. It is the presence of acceptance and alignment within yourself. It's the calm that arises when you stop fighting to be someone you're not and start embracing the fullness of who you are. This kind of peace is durable and transformative. It liberates you from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval and empowers you to live boldly and truthfully. So when you face moments of doubt or pressure to conform, remind yourself that true peace comes from authenticity. It comes from honoring your values, speaking your truth, and living in a way that feels honest and meaningful to you. And as you do this, you not only create a life of integrity and joy for yourself, but also inspire others to do the same. In the end, choosing authenticity over approval is one of the most profound acts of self-respect and self-love. It is the foundation for a life lived fully with purpose, courage, and lasting peace.